Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending December 11th, 2020. Japan invests in artificial intelligent matchmaking. In a response to a falling birth rate over the past 3 years, the Japanese government has allocated 2 billion yen to subsidize new and ongoing AI matchmaking throughout the country in 2021. The funds will be distributed to local authorities as part of the national effort to combat low birth rate. According to the BBC, the country's population is expected to drop from a peak of 128 million in 2017 to less than 53 million over the next 80 years. There are academics all around the world that have been studying the reasons for birth rate decreases in prosperous countries. None of them have blamed the lack of matchmaking abilities from human beings as the culprit of the situation. There are many cases where artificial intelligence will be the answer, but it won't make a difference if we're asking the wrong questions. More countries begin rolling out citizen IDs. The pandemic has spurred many technologically underdeveloped countries to begin working toward national registries of their citizens using an open-source ID platform called MASIP. Researchers in India built MASIP based on the country's effective Aadhaar system, which assigns all citizens a digital ID number. Aadhaar was revered for being so effective in the early days of the pandemic when the Indian government used it to distribute 1.5 billion to the bank accounts of 30 million citizens. Morocco, the Philippines, Ethiopia, Guinea, Sri Lanka, the Ivory Coast, Togo, and Tunisia are all hoping to set up MASIP systems over the next few years. For more, see the article in The Economist. CISA warns about GE medical equipment flaw. In an advisory this week, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency warned about a dangerous vulnerability present in a series of over a dozen GE healthcare imaging and ultrasound products used in hospitals. The vulnerability is viewed as dangerous because it is very easy to exploit. The products all share a default password that personnel must use to perform maintenance duties on the devices. The problem is that the default password is easy for anyone to find, and it allows hackers to expose sensitive data and manipulate patients' health information. Compounding the problem, hospital staff themselves can't change the default password. Instead, they must contact GE Healthcare Support to have the credentials changed. According to Ars Technica, GE Healthcare will eventually provide patches and additional information about the problem. UK watchdog CMA puts big tech on notice. New UK tech regulator, the Competition and Markets Authority, has suggested to the British government that it must be granted the power to levy great fines on big tech enterprises in order to keep the digital marketplace fair and balanced for smaller companies. The organization proposed a maximum fee of 10% of worldwide turnover for any company that breaches the CMA's code of conduct. Last year, Google made $160 billion in worldwide revenues, and Facebook made $70.6 billion. Read more at The Guardian. An internationally wanted cybercriminal gets sentenced in France. 41-year-old Russian national Alexander Vinnick was sentenced in Paris this week to 5 years in prison and £100,000 in fines for laundering money for cybercriminals, including ransomware gangs. Vinnick faced a much larger sentence for creation and distribution of Locky ransomware, but he was acquitted of those charges. Founder of the defunct BTC-E currency exchange business, Vinnick was arrested in Greece in 2017, which triggered a year-long extradition war. Authorities in Russia, the U.S., and France all requested Vinnick be sent to their country to face charges. Learn more at ZDNet. And that wraps up this week's episode of the Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe. See you next week. Bye-bye.